Hey everybody, who's ready for some middle school magic?
I for one am at least fairly ready. Uh,
Fairly ready? Well, it looks like our players are ready. So real quickly, I'm Robert. I'm joined by Mike O'Malley. How's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad. Hey guys, how's it going, Rob?
It's going. So we've got Raja James on the left here, and we've got Jake on the right. They're both starting off with some blue sources, so we're not gonna end these games shortly.
No, I don't think
By the
so.
looks of it.
Uh, we didn't get a deck list ahead of time from Jake, but if he is playing a deck that I saw him like messing around with and testing a couple weeks ago, it is definitely going to be a long game.
All right. Well, we see another spirit discarded to Jake. Is that the that looks like the discard step? the
Oh
cleanup
wow.
the cleanup phase. So a little too early to tell if we're missing land drops or if we're just
Or if he just
utilizing that
did
as a
that.
game function. I mean, it does
The
make
bootleg
sense,
Entomb.
right? I mean, in Legacy Reanimator, that's absolutely something I would do.
Hmm.
Is on the draw, game one, draw my eighth card, move to end step, discard Grizzlebrand, and then go. So another
Right.
spirit, not quite the same thing as G Breezy, but we'll see if
I
this
mean,
was
in this
a
format, I
plan.
don't know. Its power level is pretty high.
Sure. I mean, Raja's got three lands. We'll see if Jake continues to miss land drops or if that was a choice. But looks like Raja's game plan is to make all the land drops possible, playing exploration here. And we're gonna
And
play
another
Horn.
one.
Yeah, all right. So maybe Jake knows what's up, and he's just holding his lands, and waiting for this Horn of Greed to come in play, and
Well,
draw some
uh,
cards.
maybe he'll get an extra card out of it in the long run. But yeah, I don't know. This looks like what Raj's deck appears to be wanting to do probably every single game ever.
Yes,
Yeah.
exploration into Horn of Greed. I think this is exactly what his deck wants to do. So we call this Turbo Land, and it's usually accompanied by an Oath of Druids. We're going to see Jake Duress looking for that Oath of Druids. Um, so I guess we're going to gush. That probably means we don't have anything better in hand. Let's see what we drew into.
I think you gush anyways because you just get to replay the lands and draw more cards after. Like,
That's fair. That's reasonable. So
um,
Gush is probably just a good card to take. So we see Future Sight, Summer Bloom, and a Spike Feeder. I'm having no idea what Jake is doing. I want to take the Summer Bloom because that represents three
yeah,
extra cards.
yeah, definitely. Is he's at oh, he took the future site. He's at the future site man already, but I don't know. I
Interesting.
guess we'll see.
Maybe Jake really he values this future sight really high, or just doesn't realize Summer Bloom is also Ancestral Recall right now.
Yeah,
Especially
I
after we
mean,
just gushed. Now, if Raja hasn't drawn any extra lands, then it's significantly worse. But we're at least going to draw. We're at least going to draw one off this treetop. Chat saying that we don't usually see Bloom or Future Sight in Turbo Oath. Yeah, very curious to see what's going on here. So we drew one card, and we're just gonna play the Spike Feeder out. We're gonna okay. So we did draw another land. We did draw the coast. Interesting. Well, if you look at the board, it looks like one person's playing Magic and the other person's not doing much of anything. Jake didn't have any land follow up, so
right.
this is not how Jake planned this out. I'm willing to bet. Um, the implication of Nether Spirit implies that we don't have really any other creatures going on, unless we think we can like entomb, Lotus Petal, reanimate something. I don't know. This is
Right. So the deck that I think this may be, because the cards so far match what it was, is a zombie infestation deck that aims to use cards that you don't mind discarding. He has a couple other discard engines as well. He was playing like Compulsion when I saw it,
okay. Sure.
and Squeeze and stuff.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. He had one other like sort of like uh gas card that sort of like was good at discarding things, but also like going through his deck. But I can't remember what it is.
Well,
Maybe
let's
I'm
hope Jake
misremembering it.
shows us.
I definitely careful study. I think was he was playing.
That makes sense. Sure,
Um,
if you're playing like Nether Spirits or Squeeze, Careful Study becomes a very powerful card. Um, this Oath of Druids
all right.
is gonna look real good against this Nether Spirit, which you can't get rid of. We're probably gonna see this.
Yeah.
So it looks like we haven't even played this the Spike Feeder for the way I see it. It's just a known card. So we're gonna
Maybe he
Oath.
had the oath, like he drew into the oath last turn. That's why he didn't run it out.
Yep.
So doing some milling.
All right. Well, let's see what our Oath targets are. I guess Turbo Oath. It's very common to have a Morphling. There we go. See
Yep.
Morphling. I've seen some people have the Ancestors Chosen to gain a bunch of life. Um,
He's got
Obviously we
the
have the
other
Spike Feeder.
spike. Yeah.
Probably
Those are
what
the only
another.
guys, right?
You
Yeah.
probably have a Spike Weaver too somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the remaining. So it's either. So he hit the Morphling. All right. That's pretty good. This is where if I'm Jake, I want like 2 copies of Innocent Blood in my hand. Like
Yes.
make him sack the Treetop Village and then get the well, but you still bounce the Morphling. So I don't know. I don't know how you deal with Morphling in this format. Like you
Uh,
got to get him to tap out, which
yeah. I mean, edicts will work. So the Morphling won't bounce itself. It gives itself Shroud. So you can edict a Morphling.
I'm
But the
just
problem
showing my
is,
ignorance. I'm
it.
thinking of
No,
yeah,
that's okay. I mean there's what the new Etherling I think bounces itself or
yeah,
whatnot.
or like exiles itself.
But the problem with like Innocent Blood here is that you sacrifice your own Nether Spirit and it comes right back. Is that a May ability? I'm not sure that's a May ability.
Um, it might be a May. I feel like it's a May. You may, yeah.
Okay, well at least it's got that going for it.
So I'm trying to think. Does his Oath Turbo Oath deck? So he looks like he has Capsize Lock available.
Capsize Lock makes
Um,
sense, and then eventually you can just take
you can
infinite
definitely
turns at some point.
kill. Yeah, kill with Treetop Village or Morphling or
Sure.
Spikes. Um,
I mean, right
and
now, like
the
Jake
Time
doesn't
Warp.
have any permanent. He's got 2 permanents in play,
Yeah,
and we can just jump the Morphling and then swing in for a bunch of damage, and that's Raja's already in the position. So
I
I
think
think,
it's pretty much over. Like
yeah, Jake hasn't
this
played
wasn't a
Magic
very
this game,
interesting
and that's really
game,
unfortunate.
unfortunately.
Yeah, no,
Jake
well,
still keeping us in the dark about what his deck really is. Although I'm pretty sure it's the zombie infestation like blue black something deck. He had red in it, I think. When I saw it, I don't know if he's still running red.
sure, I'm willing to believe it. All right, well, we're gonna give Jake an oath trigger here, so we'll see what happens.
Mm-mm.
Oh nope, we're just gonna gain life. Catch this in. So let's take a moment here and appreciate all of the signatures on Raj's deck. Every card so
Definitely.
far has been signed, which is quite beautiful. Love to see it.
Yeah, that's definitely some dedication. He's got some of his deck photos from previous leagues. He's got some like a fully altered set of like basic lands or something like that. They're all like part of yeah, it's crazy. So that's definitely props to that. My FedEx printout proxies are not very nice.
Hey, but you know what? They're still legal. We still love them.
You're right.
All right. Well, Nether Spirit's gonna get into the red zone, and Raja's gonna drop to 16. Jake's at 15. Raja not caring at all that we're attacking for 2. So Nether Spirit's not gonna really win this race. Jake is still missing land drops. I guess we are. Do you think Jake's just playing for more information, or do you think he still has an out?
Um. Well. Okay. Looks
Nope.
like it was
That
probably
answers my
the
question. All right.
former. Uh.
All right. Well, we're gonna give game 1 to Raja here.
So his
So
sideboard. I mean, he doesn't know anything really. Like.
no, we you might
If he
bring in some graveyard
did,
hate maybe because you see the Nether
yeah.
Spirit, but
Well, his board doesn't even have any. It's 2 Annul, 1 Counterspell, 3 Dust Bowl, 2 Future Sight, 2 Misdirection, 1 Morphling, 2 Naturalize, and 2 Zeranorb. Orb. Um,
None of those attack the Nether Spirit very well. All right, well,
right.
but that's okay. I mean, if game two goes like that one, Raja is
Probably doesn't really
not gonna
matter.
have a
He seems
problem.
fine.
Although I suspect we see a completely different game two here. And it might even be in Jake's favor simply because he's on the play and he actually knows what's happening in the matchup. And Raja just has to guess. He saw two color mana, mana source that makes two colors, and
Yeah.
he saw Nether Spirit, and he saw two duresses and a deep analysis, which doesn't really
Yeah,
tell
I
you that
wonder
much.
what he might be guessing, because that really honestly could be almost anything. Like, um, I don't know if like most of those cards seem like they might be played in like Stifle Knot. Um,
Maybe, yeah. Another Spirit is definitely not a Stifle Nut card, but the rest of them could be.
yeah,
Um, the problem is like all the decks that you think that blue black could be, most of them do not include the Nether Spirit. Um,
right. It certainly is a bit of a maybe I don't know. Like, just I guess I haven't really seen it before. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I just wonder if if Zombie Infestation is even on Raja's radar. Assuming that I'm even right about that. Like, obviously we we don't
sure.
know
I
either.
mean, Zombie Infestation does fit. If that is what Jake is doing, then
Those
that
cards
these cards so far
seem dull
fit.
to. Hmm.
But that is definitely a card that's kind of going deep into the tank. Raj is no stranger to the format, so I know he's aware of the card. Whether or not that's what he's thinking about right now, we'll find out. It'll be exciting to see.
Yeah. What's the buyback counterspell?
That would be forbid.
Forbid. That
Yes.
was the other thing that I saw Jake doing with his zombie infestation deck. He
Sure.
had zombie infestation and ways to just keep making tokens, and then forbid lock was like a sort of win
Sure.
con, I guess.
And any number of squeeze and forbid is kind of the first spell you play each turn and hope for the best sort of thing. So
Hmm.
that's a strong position to be in. We'll see if Jake can assemble something from his deck, so that way we get more of a game two here.
Right.
I
I'm
know
really
this
like curious now. Like,
right.
I just want to see some more cards. Um, because yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't really, I don't have anything to say. Like,
Yeah, no,
we didn't
and
get
there's not much to say about that. I know Jake. That isn't how he wanted game one to go, but he does have a little bit of advantage because Raja doesn't know exactly what's going on. That
Mhm.
may mean Raja misboards a bit. Now Turbo Oath does have some controlling elements to it, so
Right.
that does give him, some wiggle room against the unknown. And if Jake is on Zombie Infestation, making 2/2 zombies isn't always the best plan against, an Oath deck.
An
So
oath deck. Yeah, I
that could
mean,
be problematic.
and like I'm not even sure. I mean, I guess it does obviously depend on what Jake's deck is, but like
Yep.
what he's actually trying to do. But I think like to a certain extent the Turboland deck could be like okay with just sticking with its game one configuration, because it is almost kind of like a pillow fort deck. Like,
Sure.
you know, the interaction with the opponent is a little bit, I don't know, there's some counter spells obviously, but you're really just trying to like make a lot of land drops, draw a bunch of cards, and set up this like unbeatable board state.
Well, they're going to start resolving their mulligans. We'll see how these hands shape out. Um, it's interesting to note that I think Jake was on the draw there
Yeah, he was on the draw.
and didn't mulligan and still had that kind of hand. So we'll see what kind of hand Jake keeps here.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh,
Tweety asking
looking.
about squeeze, maybe. All right, well, looks like we're keeping. And it's going to start off just like it did last time. Let's see if Jake can propel to a second land here. Oh, all right. We're
There we
already
go.
better off than we were game one. Okay, so we're going to start
Okay,
with the duress.
looking like a good start.
That's strong. Their sleeves match. Do their sleeves match? Maybe they
They
do.
might. They might.
All right, let's look at this hand. We've got Raja has zombie infestation absolutely pegged. Look at these two naturalizes sitting in his hand. along with 2 dazes, an accumulated knowledge, and an oath.
Hmm.
This is this duress is great, but we really hope we've got another one because otherwise Jake might be in some trouble.
Right. So, double days. What is the final card on the
Accumulated knowledge, I believe that is.
AK? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, maybe Roger was also thinking about like maybe like possibly like just Necro, like I don't know.
Maybe. Sure, Necros. I mean, is a fine card to target.
I mean, like it's almost like in this format, like just boarding into like enchantment removal is probably fine. Like,
Sure. Yeah, I mean, naturalizes and disenchant effects go a long way.
mhm.
Tweety asking what Raja is playing. Raja last game one showed us a Horn of Greed and an Exploration and an Oath. So, being an aficionado of that archetype, Tweety, I'm sure you are well aware of what's happening. Game one, we saw Jake play 2 permanents and 2 spells, and that was the whole match. Jake already in a better position, showing his third color, which is great.
Okay,
I
it is
imagine these
red.
are for some Pyroblast effects, maybe. Or maybe do we want to cast Squeeze or play some other cards? We'll see.
Right.
Now, are my eyes deceiving me, or is that Dust Bowl gold bordered?
It is.
Fancy. Signed gold border Dust Bowl. I like it.
It's definitely going in on middle school for sure to like I mean
Yep.
I guess the yeah, I don't know. Oh, Raja is one of the originators of this format, I believe, so kind of makes sense that he would be in for the long haul, so to speak.
So, notably, Raja missing a second island for the second days. So, if we want to double days, we have to physically cast one of them, which isn't out of the realm of possibilities right now. He definitely has the more reactive hand.
Hmm.
Um, Wonder who has more inevitability here, the Oath player or the presumably zombie infestation player?
That's a good question. I mean, it definitely feels like Oath just lines up
It
really good
does.
against a good token
Yeah, against a deck
generating
that has to win
strategy.
in,
Like,
yeah, if you have to win in the attack step, having this Oath in your deck is pretty good.
mhm.
So we're gonna tap out, leaving only 1 days up. And we're going to annul that. Oh
Nice.
wow! So we're gonna tap out and go ahead and get this thing countered. We can't really double days here. And even if we
Mhm.
could, we've got the mana to cover it. So Jake has an opening here. He can cast a zombie infestation, and honestly, if none of those hidden cards are Oath, we can actually start getting the red zone. We don't have a green mana to
Yep.
activate this treetop village, so uh, a number of tutus could actually start really
I
making
mean,
their
and it's
way.
quick. Like, you get to get up to 3 zombies, and like
Four
that's a
turn clock.
super fast clock. Yeah,
It is.
like that's not a lot of time to draw those lands. And presumably, if he's got like if his deck is giving him what he needs, he'll have a way to like continue to make more zombies on end step.
Yep.
But we are seeing a 3 mana spell, Intuition. Yes,
Intuition. All right. That is
I.
a pet card of Jake, if I'm not mistaken. He loves
Mhm.
intuition. So we're gonna get to resolve it. We're playing around days here. I imagine we're going to either get our zombie infestations, which doesn't seem great against the double naturalized hand, or if we already have the zombie infestation, we may be getting our squeeze. Which intuition for squeeze would be wonderful. Oh no, we're gonna do one better.
Oh,
We're
this
gonna
is
get
pretty good. I like this.
this Nether Spirit. So I think we just send Nether Spirit to the hand and bin these two Cabal therapies and
Hmm.
see if we have a way to discard this Nether Spirit later on. We do have the mana to cast Nether Spirit, so and dazing it doesn't do too much here. So these Cabal therapies are going
Yeah.
to be great. We can just name Naturalize and clean up all of those, and
Hmm.
if they counter it again, we can cast the second one here. So pretty nice heads up play there. Intuition being a great silver bullet grabber there. All right, green mana. What are we doing, Raj?
Exploration.
Exploration. Okay, so how many of these unknown cards are land? We played an island, I believe. We played an
Yep.
exploration. So we have one unknown card. So this isn't. If Jake can execute these Cabal therapies, we can double days here pretty easily. So if we cast the Nether Spirit, we can at least stop it a turn.
Yeah, prevent from getting therapy at least this turn.
Yeah, or and you can't double dazing the therapy just does the same thing as you know having therapy name days. So
Right. I just wonder if if I had one card in Raj's deck that I wanted that unknown card to be, it would be another Horn of Greed, so that after he dazes, he can um,
yep.
just replay the lands.
All right, so
But
Raja's going to cast in these dazes here and just force Jake to essentially name days with this first Cabal therapy,
mhm.
and we'll see what ends up happening on the next turn if we can grab these naturalized. What's the chance of how many naturalizes does Raja have in his 75? Does he? I'm assuming he's the
I think
third
it
one.
was two.
Just two? Oh, and they're both in his hand.
Two.
That's
Yep.
that's kind of a dagger here. So maybe Raja can get another counterspell. If not, he's going to lose his best answer to a zombie infestation, and then he's not going to have anything left. We don't
Yep.
have a Horn of Green. We have no way to really gather this mana. The best thing we've got going is this treetop village that can block, but if you can go wide, it won't matter.
Right.
Or if we just have a bolt because we see red mana, that could also like kill a treetop.
Sure.
Now, what we may see happen if Raja gets another land drop or two, we may just see him start activating Dust Bowl. Jake's mana is a little bit vulnerable to that, and he probably needs 3 or 4 land
Yep.
to go. So, um, Tweety is calling out that
Seems
Raja's only green source is a pain land. So, if we do want to be on the blocking plan, it is going to not. It won't be free.
right.
All right, so
This
we're gonna cash in
seems.
this other Cabal therapy. We're not even gonna try to attack. I think that's reasonable.
Well, it just came in. He couldn't attack it. Summoning sickness.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
Oh, see, I keep thinking any modern card that came back would have haste.
right.
All right, so the last card is Gia's Blessing. Which is the card you want if you're losing your 2 naturalizes when you'd otherwise want
Yeah.
them?
Go ahead and just put those back into the pot, if you will. Okay, compulsion. So yeah, this is definitely the deck that I saw the other week. Um,
Compulsion is a sweet
Possibly with
magic
some
card.
tweaks, but yeah.
I think it's underplayed. I remember playing this in Limited way back when. Compulsion was wonderful.
Did he just
Tur-
dust bowl him? Oh no, he's dust bowling. Okay, never mind. He's dust bowling one of Jake's lands.
Okay.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
you have to sacrifice a land to do that. So we're gonna start cash in this extra island, which is fine. We can just target it with our Gia's Blessing, put an island back in our deck if we want to.
Yep. Well, there's a compulsion activation. Land dies. It seems.
Overplayed by Jake. Yes, Jake loves Compulsion, and I'm glad to see it on the camera here. So this game notably different than Raja's first game here. Um, Oath off the top is pretty strong. We'll see if Jake chooses to bring Nether Spirit back. He's going to skip right past that. Choose not to do that.
Seems pretty good, at least this time around.
Yep.
The turn cycle here.
So Raja able to navigate the game long enough to get a good answer to zombie infestation. Oh, we drew Bloodstained Mire, which notably can grab a basic swamp, which is important because we may lose Jake's other black source to this Dust Bowl here.
I mean, that seems like a valid plan here by Raja. Um,
Yeah, I mean, if your opponent can't cast spells, we saw how effective that was game one.
yeah. Paradise.
I really want to know what's in Jake's hand because I want to know what's coming up. All right, so we're casting this Gia's Blessing. There are, blue sources untapped. Jake could counter. I don't think we'll see a counter.
Yeah, I think it's just like this is kind
Yeah,
of
so he's gonna grab the Naturalize and the Horn of Greed. That makes a lot of sense. You know you're playing against a deck that utilizes enchantments here.
I wonder what's happening here. What is he talking about?
Are we gonna intuition in response? Just
Yeah, something like that. Jake asked if he could cast intuition, probably somewhere in there. I think he was just like
sure.
tiny bit of a rewind. Should be fine.
Um. So it doesn't look like he's. So it's not like we're gonna grab a. We're grabbing four squeeze. All right. So we're saying let's get the engine started.
Yep.
Um. We weren't looking for something like Coffin Purge, which would have been the only real thing I could see mattering at instant speed. I think we're just shortcutting here. But this is going to put Jake in a great spot to start activating his zombies. Now the problem is,
He probably needs to find the card, I'm guessing, but I guess we'll see.
well,
But
it's also
compulsion will do that.
compulsion food. Yeah, so it's good compulsion
Hmm.
food. Um, Now, what creatures does Raja have for sideboard? Does he like a lot of these oath decks sometimes have like Thunder Dragon?
There was just another Morphling,
Wow.
and that's
Okay,
it.
so really the best card is going to be this Spike Weaver, right? We have Spike Weaver in the 75.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's going to fog for a very long time, and if we just get an army, we're going to be able to recur that over and over and over again. So that could be a problem. I don't know what Jake's plan is to deal with that. I
Right.
assume he has one. We hope he has one. All right, 3 mana. What do we think we have? Are we attacking? Yep. Jake's down to 14. Raja's at 19. All right, so we're gonna fetch Jake down to 13. Get another
He's
swamp here.
probably going to. He
Compulsion
can
end of
only do
turn.
2 compulsion activations, but
Sure. Draw 2 cards is still fine end of turn. I
yep.
think that's fine.
I mean, his deck has to have removal. Like, I can't remember what I saw. I think he had like maybe Smothers and maybe some red. Well, we saw Fire and Ice. He
Yep.
discarded that. Um, doesn't actually kill the Treetop Village, but
Notably, it does not.
Smother would do the trick though.
Do we think we left Smothers in? Knowing that we're playing
Yeah,
against. Oh,
I
if the
feel
only
like
real thing it does is the manland.
yeah, probably not. Probably not a particularly potent card in the matchup here.
Although I
Even not
suppose you
really
can just,
knowing.
if it's dead, you can always just discard it to compulsion or to zombie
Hmm.
infestation. So
Hmm.
that is the benefit of this style of deck is you can just trade bad cards into better cards, should you need to. Oh, look at this.
Recoil?
This is
Is that
that's
what that
recoil.
is?
It's one of my favorite
Yeah, that card
instants
is
from
dope.
Invasion. Bounce a permanent, and then that player has to discard a card. I love it. I used to play this with Megrim in a really bad kitchen table deck. It was wonderful. So what do you think we're going to discard? We're going to discard an extra exploration. That's fine. Raja had the fodder. Um, but now this means we can play Zombie Infestation, and we can just Cabal Therapy it away. Oh,
Nice.
wow. So this is a wonderful, wonderful turn of events. So we've got a single capsize. We've got Infestation mana open. I believe Zombie Infestation is just the 2 mana enchantment.
Yeah, I think it's 2 mana.
So I don't think Jake has any other cards in hand. We just have the squeeze.
He can. Yeah. So what I would do if I was him is I would bring the Nether Spirit back next turn,
Yep,
therapy the capsize, and
sure.
then do whatever. Because like it seems like you're slowly gaining. He'll have mostly gained control of the game by that point.
Sure. This Treetop Village coming back around, putting Jake to 10. So Jake doesn't have infinite time.
That's true.
We can
He
get the Nether
does need
Spirit back,
to.
which it looks like we have we're unable to do because of the Squee in the graveyard.
Oh
So
right,
we can cast
right.
Squee and do the same thing.
That's
It
true.
does give us less mana. We do have access to 7 mana, which means we can Squee and do that. But we may just have Zombie Infestation here, and we do.
Yeah. I think this is
Okay.
fine. Oh yeah, now you therapy with a zombie, I suppose. Like I think you have to get that capsize out of there because that's a problem for everything. But oh, guess not.
But we don't have to do it right now. So we have 4 cards in hand, I believe. So we minimum can make 2 zombies, which
Hmm.
can double block profitably this treetop village. Not quite through the capsize here, but that is one way to get rid of capsize. Now
There's
we
another
see oath. Okay, so we drew another oath. Let's see if
So
it's going to
he's
resolve
got
here. We have counterspell, so
memory
no. All
lapse.
right, Jake was
Oh,
prepared.
counterspell. I thought it was memory lapse.
Memory lapse would have been sweet just because we don't see it often, but
Yeah.
Jake has the actual factual counterspell. So notably, game 2 is going much different, much more in Jake's realm of what he wants to see. Now, we're gonna see some zombies get made here. Jake still has cards in his hand. It looks like he's got more than the 4. So we're gonna make at least 2 zombies, I suspect, here to double block. And Raja does not have capsize mana. We're discarding another counterspell. That tells me that Jake's got at least one more. I can't see us discarding a counterspell for you.
Right. Yeah.
We don't have another one. So we're gonna get this squeeze back, and we're gonna get into the red zone here. Now, do you think we play a squee and activate this Cabal Therapy to get rid of capsize, or do you think we just ignore it and just start attacking through it?
It might be.
Looks like
I
Jake's
would be
choosing to
inclined
ignore
to
it.
just like try to seal, and maybe this is me not necessarily being the greatest Magic player, but I would be like the capsize is scaring me. Like I would like to get rid of that card.
Sure.
But maybe if you do the math here, it doesn't matter. Like I don't know.
I mean, honestly, if he's spending a turn playing capsize, we have the buyback, which is
Hmm.
kind of a problem. So we can start pegging these zombies and start whittling away at the free zombies that we have through these squeeze.
Hmm.
Um, so we're
He's gonna
gonna
do
cast with
something.
buyback. What are we targeting?
I feel
I
like it
imagine
would
if Jake,
be.
has a kind of spell, he lets this happen. We're gonna see mana leak. Oh, oh, and Raja
And that'll be enough
says nope.
to scoop it up.
Wow. All right. So game 1, not really much of a game. Game 2 definitely saw Jake execute his plan. Um, wow. All right. So I think Raja probably drew too many sideboard cards at the wrong time,
Hmm.
but he definitely knew what was up. So we'll see what happens. Raja's going to be on the play game 3 here. What do you think about that game?
I mean, I think like it just seemed like he kind of petered out, and it would have been better if Jake had needed to like play some enchantments early if he had nothing else going on, but Jake's draws seem to kind of just play out exactly how he probably wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Oath is maybe not super actually good against Jake now that he knows what's going on, because he can pretty easily play around it until it's time to, like, you know,
Yep.
start making zombies and actually kill. Um, and then, besides that, it's like it seems like Jake may be way even more hard control, like maybe more just stack interaction, reactive stuff than even Raja. And also, he's got discard, so he can proactively dismantle the game plan while also just kind of sitting there and playing lands and being fine with going like super long.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I
But of course, he has to
definitely.
draw his lands.
He does, yes. So we noticeably saw Jake perform better when he had mana to cast spells. This
Yes.
is true. But it definitely shows that Jake has the tools to really combat this deck. And in my experience playing Turbo Oath, playing wildly different decks against it, the one thing that I've seen is like if you can play around the Oath and just not let Oath like trigger except on your own terms,
Yep.
then the Turbo Oath deck does have a lot of air. You know, drawing land and playing more land is great, but if you don't do anything with it,
Yeah.
it's not going to matter too much. So Jake does have the tools to be patient, which I think is super critical for his deck to be successful here. We'll see if Raja can get his engine going, if he can get a few turns with a Horn of Greed in play,
Right.
and an exploration to take advantage of it, he's going to be in good shape. But if he just has the Horn of Greed, Jake might be able to take advantage of it as well.
Right. That's certainly true. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, like Jake's deck is just built to be able to, like, he doesn't have to ever resolve a creature
right.
until like the very end of the game. And yeah, like I agree about Oath in general, that when I've played it, um, decks that are able to do that, it's just like this card doesn't do anything most of the time. But
Yep.
against other decks, obviously, like if they're very, very creature dependent and maybe not necessarily like, you know, Stifle Knot, where they just need one guy and they kill you really fast and they don't necessarily care. Like you might not
Sure.
have enough time even with an Oath trigger.
Yeah.
Um, but if it's kind of more just like a traditional aggro deck with
Or you can
multiple guys,
phase the Dreadnought out and just
mhm,
skip the Oath trigger. Yeah.
right?
Well, they're going to resolve the mulligans here. It looks like Raja may be keeping, or he hasn't looked yet. We'll see what Jake decides to do. Um, and just kind of see what happens in game three when, you know. I mean, I was going to say when both people know what's going on, but Raja clearly had the read on what was happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious if he like just saw that and knew exactly. He was like, "There's probably artifacts or enchantments involved in this." Like, uh,
Sure. I mean, like I
I
said,
mean,
Raja is no stranger to the format, so
yeah. Besides the Nether Spirit, I would maybe be at least considering something like Stifle Knot or, um, I don't know, like
yeah, it could be some kind of weird build like that. I mean, we've seen Nether
Necro is an
Spirit in control decks
obvious.
before.
Hmm.
Well, it looks like Jake's gonna take a mulligan here. We'll see if he keeps his 6 on the draw here. Chat, go ahead and tell us who you're rooting for. If you're rooting for Turbo Oath or rooting for Zombie Infestation, let us know. I'm slightly partial to Zombie Infestation because it's a
For
silly
sure.
card.
It's definitely seems like it might be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad Jake continued to develop and work on the deck since the last time I saw it.
I know, like in the games that I've seen Jake play, he's been trying to find a good intuition deck, and this may be it. We definitely
Right.
saw it twice be very effective, um, which is great. And Raj is starting off with an undiscovered paradise with the exploration. Okay, well, so it's not the worst, and an island. Okay, all right. That is definitely a way to play. So we're gonna start off tapped. Return this land to hand. Both decks
Three
are
games in a row,
winners,
Jake has
maybe.
started with a Salt Marsh as his first land.
All three in a row. You're right. This is true. Chat saying both decks are winners. I'd like to
Yeah,
say
I
only
mean,
one of
I
them can
can't
win
hate
now.
on Turbo Land. The deck is sweet. It's definitely blue green is pretty cool. All right, so
Yep.
we got the Oath. Um, I feel like that is maybe not the most pressing issue for Jake, assuming his deck is
Nope.
giving him cards that do things. Like he probably couldn't play a creature if he wanted to.
Jake's playing his tap lands like I've got all day. This
Hmm,
Oath's
hmm.
doing nothing. He was prepared to, drag this out either way. Yeah, I agree that. I mean, the Oath coming down early is kind of whatever for Jake because Jake hasn't had time to even really assemble and sculpt his hand. We see two Dust Bowls. Holy moly!
Oh,
Look
he's
at
gonna
this.
start doing it. All right,
Oh, look at this. Being aggressive. Okay, sure.
that's pretty sick.
I mean, I guess if we think we're just gonna like draw out into here, we're gonna see an island. So maybe we'll see another land and like cut Jake off of black. I don't know.
Compulsion.
Compulsion. Yeah. So for those who haven't seen Compulsion, Compulsion has two abilities. For a blue and a colorless, you can discard a card to draw a card. And then for a blue and a colorless, I believe you can sacrifice Compulsion to draw a card.
Yep.
Which is great when you want to turn bad cards into good cards, and better when you turn squeeze into actual cards.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to see Raja do exactly what we thought, which is just go after these mana sources. Um, I mean, this could work out in Raja's favor, or it could just mean Jake just has time to like draw out of this and get to, play his spells. I mean, Raja's only got two cards. Raja taking a turn to draw and go. Jake continuing to play lands,
Also,
so
same.
Raja passing with 5 cards in hand. Notably not playing lands. Do you think we're just waiting until we draw a Horn of Greed?
I mean, that could be the plan. Um,
Dust Bowl going to target Dust Bowl.
get the Dust Bowl. Okay, he's gonna play something. AK
Accumulated
seems
knowledge.
fine.
Sure. Okay. Dust Bowl sacrificing itself to grab the other Dust Bowl. I like it. I'm a fan. Alright, so Raja definitely had more land in hand. I guess conceivably he drew a land off the AK and drew a land per turn, so.
Hmm.
But. The Dust Bowl portion of this match has concluded.
Yep.
Somebody clip that for me, please.
It's definitely they're just kind of like feeling each other out, trading a little bit of resources here, a little bit of resources there. I
Yeah.
like how we're
As,
kind of
as
both in the same, still not really okay, that's pretty good.
I think
Got a
both
lot of
players
gush.
decided Dust Bowl is a super sweet card, but that is not what this matchup is about anymore.
Right.
But we love to see it. And yeah, Gush, great card. Gush with 2 explorations is an amazing card.
Oh yeah.
So notably for those who are not familiar with middle school, Gush is this is one of the few formats you can play 4 copies in. Because it is restricted in Vintage and banned pretty much everywhere else.
Yep. I think that's about it. Yeah,
I think Pauper
I'm
might be the only
assuming
other place
it's
you can play
legal
2 copies.
Commander, but obviously you have 1 copy there.
Sure.
I'm assuming it's legal in Commander. It doesn't seem like it's too broken.
No, if we can play Time
Yeah.
Twister, we can play Gush.
Yeah.
But I think
All
Pauper might be the
right.
only other place you can play 4 of.
I think it's banned in Pauper.
Is it
It
banned
was
now?
at one point. It was at one point legal, but
All right.
I think that was probably a long time coming.
I
Back
apologize,
when I played that
viewers,
format.
that my knowledge of Pauper is stuck in the past.
Yeah. I had some fun with Popper a number of years ago. It was fine. It was fun.
Chat telling us Gush is so much better than Time Twister. Are we talking about in the context of Commander? Or are we talking about in the context of middle school? Or vintage? I mean, free draw two is pretty good. Especially when your opponent doesn't get
Yeah.
to restock their hand. So this is a turn late in the game, and we see this oath, for the most part, being meaningless.
Yeah. I think that's. I'm not surprised by that. Just now knowing exactly what Jake's deck is, like I think like he
All
doesn't really
right.
ever have to let that thing trigger.
Well, we see the double oath, and we're going to annul the second oath. Okay. Jake's saying the first one was fine, didn't have the annul then, but now we have the annul here. I guess that's fine because we saw last game Jake's plan was to eventually bounce the oath back up.
Yeah. I suppose he does actually maybe have to deal with it eventually,
Sure.
but he can do it at his own leisure, I guess. Um, oh, here we go. Same
So,
deal.
yep, we're gonna recoil,
Oh,
which is gonna get counterspelled, which is fine. So we'll see if Jake has any more options for this. Raja notably looks like he's got 3 cards in hand by that dice indicator, and I think by my count here.
yeah, looks like I can visually see 3. All right, Jake casting a spell here. So,
We're just gonna
all
cast the
right,
zombie
zombie
infestation.
infestation.
Okay, sure. And we're gonna
There
see a
is
force of will.
force of will.
So now Raja's down to 1 card. All right, so if Jake still has some like counter magic in here and ways to deal with like a horn of greed, I think that is a I think that's great. We're gonna AK for 2 if my
Pretty
AK
good. Yeah,
count is correct.
definitely. I if I were Jake, I would be. I don't know. Maybe not if I were Jake. If I was playing this match, I might make the same mistake. But I definitely, looking at it from my perspective right now, Horn of Greed seems like a scary thing that Raja could draw into.
Yes,
Um,
I feel like if we can answer the problem permanents, which are Oath and Horn of Greed, I feel like a lot of
the
the other
rest of the
cards kind of
deck
don't
is
matter.
kind of, yeah.
Right. I mean, Exploration's great, but we're past the point where Exploration really matters, I feel like.
Hmm.
Now, Raja does have a land advantage. So as long as he's got more cards in his hand, that's advantageous for him, but Jake just has some scary misanswers, as we've seen with the zombie infestation.
Right. Oh, here's another gush.
Alright, well, that's a good card to keep drawing, so.
Definitely getting his velocity up here. Maybe a bit more so than Jake. Um,
So chat pointing out that there were 2 AKs in the yard, which meant we draw 3 cards off of it, and so into Gush, which is drawing more cards. So Rush is still getting his engine online one way or another. We're gonna play second
yep.
Oath. See if Jake has any responses. The pause in action makes me think he might. Chat saying double Oath is no bueno. All right, do we think this is a compulsion in response?
Um,
All right, well,
nope. Looks
it
like not.
well, even if it was, Oath resolved. All right, so 2 Oaths are better than 1. Not many cards in the format can get rid of both at the same time here. So Jake now in a tight spot. We've had 1 recoil countered. We know that that isn't a way for him to deal with it. We haven't seen any other ways just yet. But we do have the
Yeah.
Compulsion Squee engine online. So we're at least going to start getting some advantage over on Jake's side here.
Right.
Um,
And there's another
there's the
very good
there's
card in
the
his deck.
yes, there's an advantage engine. All right, what do we get here? What are we looking for?
Um,
Because we don't know the list either, so that doesn't help us.
yeah, like let's see. I mean, he must have to deal with the oaths before he can really like do anything. But maybe he tries to play it tricky and I don't know, put some random cards in and just I don't know.
So chat has told us
Okay.
that we could get 2 squeeze or 1 therapy. Chat has always told us we just find 3 cards. That is technically how we resolve intuition. This is true. Um, there could be firestorms for this red in the deck. I don't know how we utilize firestorm if it would still be in the
It's
deck.
looking like 2 squeeze and a coffin purge.
Okay,
Um,
I like the coffin purge. So we could potentially with coffin purge allows us to snipe
the
a
oath
Gia's
guy.
blessing.
Oh, guys, wasn't. Oh, gotcha.
So like we can let the oath trigger resolve.
Hmm.
You can get a creature, but then before you shuffle your deck back, we snipe it out of there.
You
So
can
then that
respond and get
way
it. Yep.
it prevents the oathing happening indefinitely. So
Yeah. Okay. Therapy.
okay, we're checking for counter spells, force of wills. What do we name? What are we afraid of? Because we're trying. I'm trying to think of what we're trying to resolve here.
Right. So I just turned on his sound and he said naturalize.
Naturalize. Okay, sure. So it looks like Rush has got 2 creatures here. Um,
Yep.
and they're his 2 best creatures. So like Oath isn't really oathing into much here right now.
Hmm. Unless he brought in the second Morphling.
Sure,
But I mean, he could also just at this point cast that Morphling.
sure. I mean, what Jake's gonna oath into? Nether Spirit. We got the
Yeah.
3 squeeze in hand.
Oathing into a squee. It's funny.
I think oathing into squeeze would be hilarious in peak middle
Yeah.
school. Chat calling out the surprise deck from Raja. Raja's 1-on-1 with this deck, so he's at least been able to convert it with one time. We'll see if he gets it on game 3 here. So watching this game 3 play out, it really makes me kind of sad to know how game 1 played out, where there was kind of a
Right.
non-game. Um, because this is definitely a match that has a lot of complicated moments. We see
Right.
Jake deploy his zombie infestation, so he's setting up. We're gonna make a zombie and flashback cabal therapy. Um,
Get some of those cards.
if it were me, I'd be after the Spike Weaver so I can coffin purge it.
Yeah.
Because if we can get rid of, oh, we're gonna take a Morphling. I don't quite know how I feel about that.
I mean, maybe there's just another Cabal therapy at this point. Jake has.
More cards in it. Sure.
No?
Okay. No, we're gonna draw a card. Ooh, how interesting.
Drawing some more cards.
We're doing an AK check. This might be AK for 4.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so we do an AK check, and we're gonna counterspell. No, you
And
cannot draw 4
counterspell.
cards.
Seems like a no-brainer if the option is available.
Sure. See, if our plan is to go wide, I think we easily beat the Morphling, but we don't beat the Spike Weaver.
Right.
So I want to know what
So
Jake's thought about that is. Now, for all we know, we're just going to recoil it back to the hand or something, but Chat pointing out if we have Bolt, we can, Bolt at the end of Raja's turn, and there's no fog available. That's true. We
Mhm.
haven't seen Bolt out of this deck, though. The red cards we've seen have been Fire and Ice.
That's it. Yeah.
So if Bolt is here, I don't even know if it's still in the deck. It might be. I don't know if we had enough cards to take out, but chat saying that Morphling is less is a card we can answer a lot less than Spike Weaver. That may be true. Spike Weaver's not going to win the game. It's going to stop you from losing.
Yeah.
So we're going to block, and then I guess we're going to fire and ice this thing down. Is that the plan? It's certainly reasonable. No, I think we're just attacking to attack. All right, we'll play a third exploration. Sure, that's a permanent. We can play that.
All right. So we swing. No, not swinging. Yeah,
Now,
I'm not 100% sure why he would attack here, because
uh,
Jake has a lot of cards. He can definitely like, I guess the spike can like,
I don't think the spike
not die in
attacks.
combat,
Yeah, no,
but
you don't. See, here's the scary thing with the spike though is that you can remove all the counters, let it hit the yard, and then oath. So if we make it a token and attack and just like let it live, we can just
hmm
do that. Or but we are going to recoil. It's the only card in hand, so it's gone. 3 mana kill spell. There we go. And now we have the luxury of coffin purging, kind of whatever we want to now.
right.
So if you're Jake, you're figuring you've gotten rid of 2 creatures that you can oath into directly. What do we think? We know the third one is probably a Spike Feeder, and we just have to wonder ourselves: did Roger bring in a
The other
fourth
Morphling.
creature? 3 mana instant Vindicate. That is correct, chat. Notably, though, that means we are one more recoil down from getting rid of these oaths. So I think our plan now is to just get rid of all the oath targets. But the problem here is we're gonna get a turn to maybe attack,
hmm
and then we're gonna oath into Spike Feeder, which is gonna be able to kill a zombie and gain 2 life. And we can Coffin Purge one of these creatures away before the Gia's Blessing trigger happens. But then we're going to have to deal with kind of infinite oath triggers, which is going to mean at least, if we don't get rid of the Weaver, we're at least going to have either the Morphling into infinite feeders.
Right. Because yeah, if the oaths start like doing their thing, he's only got the one coffin purge, so like to stop it, you have to get the blessing out. But then the guys are probably still there.
Sure.
I mean, I'm assuming Jake has ways to kill guys, but um,
we saw the recoil as a good way. I mean,
mhm.
without knowing what's left in Jake's deck, in his hand, my plan is to make zombies at end of turn attack. Rash your oath triggers. I assume, without knowing any more information, it's going to oath into the spike feeder that we've seen. I
Mhm.
can then make more zombies at the end of that turn, and probably coffin purge the spike weaver away, and then attack more. We do some combat math. Spike feeder dies, and then Raja gets to oath again, presumably into either Morphling or the spike feeder. And I just hope that I
Mhm.
just make more zombies every turn to fight through that.
Duress sees a land. I was
All
just
right, coast
thinking,
is clear.
I wonder if Jake has Goblin Bombardment in his deck, because that'd be pretty cool to add to the
that would
zombie.
be that would be really good against this
Pretty
oath.
insane.
That would
Like I'd
be
be
insane against oath.
reluctant to maybe have that card in the deck, because I think in general it's maybe not the most amazing thing, but it would be pretty cool here, that's for sure.
Sure, I mean zombie infestation, the worst card in the deck without zombie infestation exactly on the field.
hmm
I haven't seen a Guy's Blessing, but I may have not been paying attention. But we're seeing a lot of sweet cards in this deck that have been brought in. We see all the null. There's some more Horned Greeds. Okay, so let's see. Presumably one creature left in the deck, and presumably it's Spike Feeder, unless we brought in a second Morphling. Um, which we didn't see.
We didn't see anything.
Um, okay.
Did he just say that the
Did we
trigger
board
happened and we
out?
just didn't see the card?
Yeah, maybe. Now, notably, we didn't activate Coffin Purge, which to me seems real sketchy. But we're letting the shuffling happening. Okay, so second Oath trigger.
Okay, I think he just announced the blessing. He stuck it up, so yeah, I probably should turn on
Yeah,
the
I'm
sound. There's another
actually
one.
incredibly surprised we did not get rid of the Weaver. Because especially if we saw there's only two creatures in the deck, getting rid of one means you're going to Oath into Morphling, and that's all you're going to have. We can go wider than
Hmm.
Morphling, no problem. So notably, life total check here. Raja is at 12, Jake is at 19. Um, Jake's got two creatures. I'm really curious what Jake's plan is here. But he's got more information than we do, so we're gonna, let him play his game.
Hmm.
Now, if I'm Raja, what am I? I mean, I guess I'm hoping to just like have this Weaver in play, maybe not even block one of those tokens, then I can go ahead and get my Morphling in play. Oh, I'm just gonna draw the Morphling.
Suppose he had them. Okay.
Do we think that that is the Morphling that was just shuffled into his deck, or is that the second Morphling?
Um, I think it is the one that shuffled in because he had it in his hand. He discarded it, and
Sure,
we didn't see the second one on the first go around of the deck with Oath last turn.
that makes sense.
So it would appear that he did not board in the second Morphling. All
Okay,
right, an intuition. Certainly a card that can help you find whatever it is that you need.
sure. All right. What Jake has access to a lot of different things here. Let's see what he gets. Chat, have any predictions? What are we intuition into?
Uh,
Counterspell, forbid. All right, so we
okay.
want to make sure that we can play a removal spell here in a moment. I guess we give him the forbid. It costs more. Although, I mean, because we're oathing into creatures anyway.
Hmm.
We're gonna give him counterspell. All right. See, we countered the Morphling. All right.
Okay, that makes
Snap.
sense. Coffin Purge, the
We're gonna.
Morphling.
No,
Okay.
you know what though? Coffin purging the Morphling is fine here because
Hmm.
Spike Weaver is never going to win the game.
Yeah.
So Raja presumably the only way to win the game now is to attack with Treetop Village and Spike Weaver, which
Right.
isn't going to do the job here. So as chat pointed out earlier, Jake taking the Jester's Cap approach, which is remove these threats one by one. All right, Raja gets to remove your counters. Now here's the problem. Raja can remove counters every turn and just remove all of them at the end of turn. Spike Weaver dies, and we get to Oath back into Spike Weaver. We've got two Oaths in play. We get two Oath triggers. We're going to get Spike Weaver every turn.
That's a pretty compact fog lock, that's for sure.
Right, so that means Jake's got to have another recoil somewhere. If we can recoil one of these Oaths, we can stop one of those triggers. If we can recoil the Spike Weaver at the end of a turn,
Hmm.
that is a path to victory. We've seen two. It's a sweet card. I hope there's a third one.
Yeah, Recoil is definitely awesome. It's a classic. Gotta love those gold cards from that era. They just look so cool.
Chat pointing out that the red mana has been for Fire and Ice and the Shattering Pulse in the graveyard here. So Jake did bring in some red cards from his board. Shattering Pulse just a shatter with buyback, so strictly better. Chat saying we think we only saw one blessing. I do know that there was one in the
I saw
yard
two.
prior
I
to
saw
the
two.
oath. Yeah, I think there
The
was
when
one in the
he went
yard prior
around
to
the
the
deck
oath.
the second time, he pointed at two of them.
Cool.
Uh,
All right, we're going to attack. We're going to fog. Cashing in a duress here. All right. Does that mean we have some action? Are we going to try to move here, or are we just trying to get rid of cards? We're gonna AK. All right, AK for one. Or did we duress the? No,
did he
we.
just let it go?
Yeah, I think
No.
we just let it go. I think
Okay.
because putting that in the yard is fine.
Yeah, that's true. He could just get the next card. It's fine.
Yeah.
And there's probably not too many lands left in this deck. Okay, a scroll rack. All right.
All right. Are we going to see a counter spell here? No, we're going to see a
Forbid.
forbid.
Another
All right.
forbid.
So Raja, without any extra ways to draw extra cards at the moment, is under a forbid lock. So that that puts Jake in a great position. If he can just get to his answer for this Spike Weaver, I think we're in good shape.
Right. I'm just wondering, like, what. I mean, if he has more coffin purges, I feel like he would have got one with the. But I mean,
Sure,
I guess that intuition he did recently, he needed to be a counter, so he didn't want to like.
sure.
I don't know.
So Raj's path to victory here might be decking Jake out.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Maybe.
we're gonna be here for a while. If that's the case.
Worst case scenario, Raja gets to just cycle Gia's blessings over and over again when
Mm-hmm.
we get to that point. All right, so we're going to remove the last card. All right, shields are down. Do we have a way to get the Spike Weaver? Now, notably, Raja has chosen not to oath on the turns he's had the Spike Weaver in play. He's had the option to just shuffle his deck
Right.
back into his library. I mean, he's got two other cards in the graveyard, so not much. So we're just pulling up to show, hey, look, there are no other creatures in this deck. Let's count how many treetop villages there are.
One. There's only one in
One.
the 75. If I looked at this right, yeah.
All
So
right,
one treetop village, no other guys, two guys blessings.
so Raja's path to victory is decking his opponent. We can fog theoretically forever.
Yeah, and in theory, Jake could be out of ways to break this. Like,
Right.
oh my
If
god.
Jake doesn't have the ability to draw out of this, then that's that. Um, I mean, Jake is on the forbid lock. So, I mean, if Raja can just stand back some cards and prevent Jake from ever really casting the cards that matter potentially, but what an interesting game three this has kind of turned into.
Yeah,
Um,
and I mean, Jake would know. I think at this point, or at least if I were him, I would be like, okay, what all do I know is still left in my deck? Uh, is there like, is like he's gonna have ample time to figure that out. Like he knows if there's a way out of this or not. I think because I think it's pretty clear
sure,
that Raja's almost at the point where this is all he can do, but it's all he needs to do.
right.
You know.
So we untap with a lot of zombies, notably not activating compulsion here.
Hmm.
I think that's Jake either deciding he doesn't want to dig for his answer or he doesn't want to draw out of his library just yet.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if that's a concern because if I'm looking for an answer and it's the only thing I've got, I'm gonna dig for it before
Yeah,
Raja
you might
gets
as
more cards
well,
in hand.
because the number of zombies you have is immaterial. I think. Um,
So out of these three colors, blue, black, and red, what answers do you think we have against this Spike Weaver?
I
I mean,
mean,
maybe another recoil.
recoil is there. Perhaps some other blue bounce spell.
Sure.
Um, and then if there is another coffin purge,
Yeah.
you could have colorless things like Tormod's Crypt or Phyrexian Furnace.
All right, so is he scooping up to Raja? Is Raja scooping? Did Jake just decide he doesn't have a way to win? I don't know what happened, chat.
The game is certainly over.
I don't know what happened. I'm going to assume Jake
is
disappearing.
Gone, so I think Jake just scooped it up.
I think that is correct there. Interesting.
That's
all right.
crazy. That was crazy.
So I think his choice to get rid of the Morphling instead of the Weaver may have been what that was.
Mm-hmm.
That may have been a point there that could have mattered. I'm not sure. That was what an interesting game 3 there. So right now we're going to assume that was Raja winning and Jake realizing he doesn't have a way to stop this lock. But we're going to go ahead and check in with our players, get our next round set up for you guys. Hopefully our game does not go, our intermission doesn't go too long. We'll get you guys the next match of Magic here shortly, and we will go ahead and go from there.
Definitely looking forward to it. See you guys in a minute.
everybody. We're back for round 2 of week 3 of our Schools Out Middle School League.
Yes, no,
Yep.
maybe.
We've got Kai
Probably
versus
talking in the chat.
Greg. Wait,
Yeah.
I should have asked you before. Do we have deck lists for this one?
I'm sure there's somewhere. I didn't pull them up, so we're gonna commentate this one blind.
Okay,
We're gonna have the
that's
same
fine.
experience as our chat here, and see what happens. For those of you just joining us, I'm joined here by Mike. My name here is Robert, and we have Kai on the left and Greg on the right here. I don't really know what to expect. I don't know what Kai's been playing. I don't know what Greg's playing. I believe they are both 2-0.
Yeah, I don't actually know any of that information either. Do I though? No, I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I played against Kai in a middle school event
Yeah, I think he did say
a couple
go
weeks
first.
ago,
All right.
Take us off, and we'll
but
figure it
I
out.
would be surprised if he's on the same deck.
Okay, well,
Might be
we'll
though. I don't know.
take one.
No, definitely not the same deck.
All right.
All right, so they're going to start playing. I'm going to mute them since we couldn't hear everything that they're doing. There we go. Cool.
Right.
All right, so we've got a Llanowar Elves off of a Llanowar Waste, I believe. So we're playing in a Yavimaya Coast. Okay, so Mana Dorks off of Painlands. Both players are going to go drop down to 19, and the show is on the road. Ooh, Kai's got another Painland here, showing
Ice
the
Age
third
Finland,
color.
yep.
Mesmeric
Mesmeric
Fiend.
Fiend.
Love to see it.
Hmm. All right. Is that 2 copies of Naturalize or no? I can't make out what the
Naturalized Living Wish.
yes. Oh, that's a card. I
My
love that card.
favorite. I love me a Living Wish. All right, so Kai. I don't know what Kai's doing. It feels like a brew. It might be some sort of survival shapeshifter deck, some sort of version of full English breakfast, maybe.
Yeah, that was maybe my thought.
Okay. Now here's
For
something
no
we'll see.
no actual good reason, I guess, but just like
the Mesmeric
think
Fiend is
that
what
just,
makes me think that.
yeah.
You know, playing Manadork and Mesmeric Fiend. We're gonna see something we don't see very often, which I believe is a something Haven out of Fallen Empires. Taps for green. I think you can stack it for double green.
Oh, the depletion lands. I might have actually heard about
It's not
this
even depletion
deck.
land.
Oh, no,
I think it's
not
just
depletion land.
it's a cycle
that's
from
right.
Fallen Empires that you can tap it for 1 color mana. You can tap and sack it for 2 of that color mana. Chat, help me out. What land is that Greg has played?
I've seen
from
the
Fallen
red
Empires?
one in Legacy in mono red, like
Sure.
Stompy before, years ago. I think there were better lands made more recently, but
There are, but when you're looking for more of those effects, you go
Mhm.
deep and find this one.
yeah. And I mean, it definitely seems like he's not in red. Okay, Meddling Mage. All right.
Ooh, look at that. Okay, let's see if Greg knows what's going on. If you turn on their chat, you can hear what they say. If Greg knows what's going on, you have to think he's naming survival. Although this land base doesn't necessarily scream survival. We have basic island and underground river, and the only green sources are this elf and this waste.
So the name was in fact Survival.
Oh man.
I guess he's hoping that he's correct.
I mean, that's what we kind of hope. But if that is correct, that's a great soul read from Greg.
Yeah. Without
So-
a ton of information to go off, unless maybe he just was sort of scouted Kai somehow, like if he
Sure.
maybe.
I mean, we've talked a little bit in
someone else.
Discord, maybe. Maybe he's
Mhm,
watched a match that Kai's been playing. Or maybe he's got the soul read the same, inclination that we've got, this
Yeah.
Mesmeric Fiend. If we assume Kai is playing survival here, what tools does the survival deck have to deal with this Meddling Mage?
I mean, if it's playing survival, there must be some sort of like toolbox guy, but I'm not sure what there is in the way of a creature that would kill the meddling mage. Like, is there like a Necrotroll? Necrotroll's in this format, right? I mean, I don't think you'd be playing
Necrotoll's
that
in the
card, but
format. You could have that. You could Flame Tongue Kavu if we see Red Source
mhm.
potentially. All right, there
That
it is. There's the
Triskelion, there it
answer.
is. So I think confirming that it's full English breakfast,
Yes.
and also making things interesting in the game. Okay, all right, okay, sure, seems good.
Andrew, chat pointing out that the cards in play, if you're a full English FEB player, that this is definitely a full English breakfast kind of field. So
Mhm.
chat knows what's going on, which is great. Survival is very safe, reasonable. So we've got the Triskelion. Now it got Force of Willed, so he had an answer, didn't resolve. I didn't see what we pitched there, however. I am curious. Chat, did you see what we pitched to Force of Will?
Oh, I wish I
It
had my
looks like a
note.
naturalize that's removed from the game, but I don't think that that is a, or unless that was a Oh, he paid. Oh, he just paid 5 mana.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
chat, look at me. Expert commentary from those watching the game here at Romancing the Stones. So that must be the Living Wish that's removed. That we must have wished for the Meddling Mage, which makes infinitely more sense. We have another Force of Will that goes straight for this Mesmeric Fiend. Um. All right, so we've got on Greg's side, we've got a Meddling Mage that can't attack, and
Unearth. Okay,
yeah.
nice.
Oh, that's sexy. I love it. Ooh. All right, the jig is up. We
This is
have
Aluren. Is that's Kevin RP, right?
Kevin Harpy and Aluren. Okay, so the jig is up. So we've got two combo decks here, creature-based combos: Aluren and full English breakfast. Um, the Aluren combo, a legacy staple for quite a while. At one time, one of the best decks. Notably a little bit weaker here in middle school. The mana is not quite as great, and the creatures aren't quite as supportive.
Right.
But definitely a player.
I forget what the other piece of it is. Once you have a learn and play, obviously Cavern Harpy is a staple. Oh, it's a Soul Warden.
I believe so. So Soul Warden lets you gain the life, and then you have the ability to. I think that's part of the combo right there. That comes into play and deals damage to each player, I believe. Um, and you
The
can.
whatever that black creature is that just got played.
Yeah, I don't.
Can't see
I've
it.
seen that art 1,000 times, and I cannot remember what it does. Chat, yes, this is the 2-0 bracket. Plague Splitter. All right, I'm gonna look up the Oracle text for Plague Splitter, so I can be an expert commentator.
I think it's Spitter.
Yes. All right, Plague Spitter, 2 colorless, black. It's a 2/2 Phyrexian horror. It has been errated. At the beginning of the upkeep, Plague Spitter deals 1 damage to each creature and each player. When it dies, it also deals 1 damage to each creature and each player. So we're gonna see it on the Greg's upkeep here. Wipe out these 2 Mesmeric Fiends and this Lanor Elf here, unless we can find an answer to it. And that's going to get back our
The answer notably has to be exile or bounce, right? It can't be a
yes.
kill spell because it'll just wipe it anyways.
Exactly. So, I don't see a white mana, so we don't have Sword to Plowshares anywhere here. So we're gonna get back at Lauren, and I believe the other card is that Living Wish that we saw. So we'll get back Living Wish. We're gonna get back at Lauren. I'm gonna finally understand what's actually happening here. Kai still thinking. This Plague Splitter notably seems to be a problem. I know Full English Breakfast tends to have a lot of X1s in the deck.
Hmm. I mean, certainly, it seems like the just what the doctors ordered for this board state.
Yeah.
Just absolute money.
So when looking for cards to play in this format, I've seen Plague Splitter before, and it seems really solid. There are a lot of X ones in the format, and for 3 mana, you can just wait a turn and kill them all,
Hmm.
and it just kind of on repeat. Um, we saw elves do very well in our last league, and this card seems great against elves.
It's almost
And
like more flexible than engineered plague, like in
yeah,
a way. Like
absolutely.
um, in
You
addition
know,
to being like a game clock, so to speak, because everyone gets drained. Like
sure.
um,
And the nice thing about it is you get them coming and going because if it stays in play, you get them. If it leaves play,
hmm
you get them.
hmm
It does get yourself, but if you know it's in your deck, you can play around it. And
right.
you're right. This is main deckable, whereas the Engineered Plague probably isn't.
hmm I mean, even nicer if I'm assuming the Plague Spitter is part of this combo, but
Yeah,
maybe not. I mean, it certainly can be played off of Aluren.
you can. Now we're gonna see a proxy of something, and I'm not sure what that is. It comes into play. It's got a counter on it. Um, Now I'm super curious.
Turning on the player's audio just to see if I
Sure.
can.
It was played off of the Birds of Paradise here, I believe. Or maybe this Ancient Tomb. So we've tapped 5 mana worth to cast, I guess, 5 mana worth of spells here. Now, notably, Greg has taken quite a bit of damage off of this Yavimaya Coast and Ancient Tomb. He's at 11. Kai is at 16. So if we just play some creatures that can survive this Plague Splitter, maybe, or Spitter rather, maybe we can just
Hmm
start attacking. This Meddling Mage probably can't block for fear of turning on the survival.
Right. I just also realized the Plague Spitter could kill the Meddling Mage if Kai waits for the upkeep trigger and then removes it.
Sure.
He gets two, and then maybe then he can play his survival, assuming that's what his cards are doing this game. But
That's definitely a
board is
liability that could
white.
happen. So we're going to see upkeep trigger happen. We're going to see if Kai has an answer to this Meddling Mage. Now, in a creature based deck, it's probably not very high.
Hmm
We're going to see Kai drop down to 11. And now the left totals are a lot more even here.
Certainly a pretty quick clock going on from Greg right now.
Those of you watching at home might hear my dog Gizmo. He's having a blast in the background. All right, so Kai's board is empty, and not a lot of things he can commit to. He's got this Plague Splitter cleaning up a lot of his X1s. He's got Meddling Mage preventing him from finding the tools he needs to get out of this. Um, for not really being on plan, Greg's putting up a pretty good fight right now. We're going to cast a Shapeshifter, which comes into play as a 1/1, notably.
All right, not maybe
So
not ideal.
we're gonna, if it resolves, Graham's gonna have to reveal his hand. If he doesn't have anything, then I'm not sure what Kai's after here.
I mean, whatever he gets, unless he puts another guy that doesn't die to Plague Spitter, which is no
Okay, so
good.
we're
So
just gonna grab
now
this Aluren again.
seems what you'd do if you're Kai. So let's see.
Okay, we're gonna discard a card to the shapeshifter's ability.
Oh,
Build
nice.
your own Acroma. All right, well that survives the Plague Spitter very well. It even has protection from black. So Kai on plan B here, which is just naturally cast and get a big
I
creature.
mean, this may be enough to do it. That is awesome. I guess Shapeshifter does, he is whatever you want him to be.
Giant Legendary Angel. That is correct, chat. And Haven Woods. Double Haven Woods there. All right, so we're going to take some some damage here to play this Cavern Harpy, which notably can block.
Hmm.
And we'll have 1 life that we can pay to bounce it back. Ooh, are we? So we're going to return the Plague Spitter. That makes sense. Because otherwise you're going to die to your own Plague Spitter. Cavern Harpy can't block. It is black. This is
No,
true.
cannot. Yeah,
This is
I
so
was just
true.
checking.
Chat, you passed the pop quiz. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of you guys. Bet you're all thinking, man, this guy doesn't even know what colors are.
Mm-mm.
You just said he had pro black and then said Cavern Harpy can block. Nope, nope, we just talked about this. Can't block. What? How do we block? What just happened? It's black. It can't
Do
block.
we ask them
I'm
what
gonna.
just happened?
Cavern Harpy can't block a pro black creature if that's what happened. I think they're realizing that now. I think they got there. All right. Cool. All right. Well, game one's gonna go to Kai, uh, who did not seem well off in game one there, having his board wiped and his primary advantage engine meddling maged. Um, but the
And
surprise
certainly
angel got there.
Lucky had the plan B ready to go. Seemingly they just had or drew into. Um,
Yes, he had his plan B, and notably, Greg took half his life out with his own ancient tomb in
mhm,
Yavimaya Coast. So it did not give Graham enough time to really to get out of that. So I mean,
mhm.
because he lost a card to the shapeshifter as a mesmeric fiend, and then got attacked for 6 the same turn. So Kai was able to really turn the corner there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost wondering, like, I mean, I don't really know how full English breakfast feels to play. I have heard many people say that it's quite difficult to play. It definitely seems like it would be just with the
Sure,
complexity of the combo and like like the number of different stuff you have. But I wonder if like maybe especially in a game one where maybe you don't know what's going on, if you just your opener has shapeshifter and a chroma, like you know
sure,
that's maybe what you want with that kind of thing, where you just like maybe. I mean, it definitely seemed like Greg picked up on what was happening pretty quick.
sure.
With that very I mean, who knows, Craig Kai might not have even had survival, but I mean the deck is almost certainly based on survival, so
Definitely. I mean,
uh
it is a difficult deck to play. Shapeshifter on itself is a difficult card to play with
mhm,
because its ability doesn't really utilize the stack. So
mhm.
it just changes and it just is, and that can be sometimes difficult to play around and play with. But yeah, maybe you just keep those hands where you just have Vesuvian Shapeshifter and the Acroma, thinking, oh, if I draw, I'll get to play this the survival. I get to do that to turn it into a chroma, but it does have the alternate text, which just lets you turn it into other things, which is how the
Mhm.
card was designed in the first place. That's what it was designed to
Right.
do. Um,
The fair way of using
yes.
it.
So our players are going to
Also,
move to
maybe a bit of like a proto-morph ability. Like
sort
just the way
of,
that it
yeah.
doesn't use the stack. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's more just like the ability uses the stack, but the card's already in the graveyard, so it just
Hmm.
happens to be what it
Yeah.
is, and you can't really respond to that, and that's what makes it so difficult to play against sometimes and to play with.
Right.
Um, but our players here are going to go to sideboards. It looks like they've finished that. I imagine there's not a lot to bring in other than maybe some interaction. Um,
Hmm.
Kai may have some creatures that help interact with enchantments better, or he may just straight up bring in some naturalized style effects. Greg demonstrating he has the ability to cast cards of all colors, so it's anyone's guess. Now he is playing the Living Wish package,
Hmm.
so is it a toolbox or is it a combo toolbox? Does we have just parts of the combo in there? I don't know. It'll be curious to find out in game two.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think like what. I mean, Graveyard Hate probably good versus Kai, or at least usable, but I don't know what that hate needs to be. Like, I would want like Leyline or Rest in Peace, or obviously those aren't here, but I don't think Planar Void is good enough. But a turn one Planar Void would probably be at least annoying. Uh,
Yes. Planar Void if Kai has that. Well, see, I
or if
think
Greg
Planar
has it, if
Void's
Greg has it.
if Greg has that. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, if Greg has that, I think that would be great. I think Planar Void is a phenomenal card against graveyard strategies. Um, it's underplayed. It's great early game. It's not nearly as good
Hmm.
late game. Um, we see more modern cards like Rest in Peace kind of solve that problem, where it's great at all stages when it
Hmm.
matters. But I think Planar Void is great, and if you're trying to beat Shapeshifter by attacking the graveyard, I think Planar Void is probably one of the best ways to do that. Um,
I think Phyrexian Furnace is also maybe fine and a likely card to just have anyways.
sure,
Especially, I mean, obviously you can make mana of all colors, but why even bother playing an answer like interaction hate or whatever that needs color when you can play one that's, you can play it off whatever
sure.
land you have. But it's definitely not a foolproof. Like it, you could overwhelm it for sure.
Yep. So we're gonna see Greg start out with my favorite card in his deck, Havenwood. Um, Fallen Empire's All Star. Now I'm curious what that was reprinted in to make it legal in middle school. Is that also one of the Fallen Empires cards that's in one of those anthologies decks, like
It
Kemba
would
Turok?
appear. Oh, it's in Fallen Empires. It's been in fifth. It's in sixth.
Okay,
Beatdown box set.
sure. Beatdown. I do recall seeing it in Beatdown. So in the start of this game here, we're gonna see both leads off with Birds of Paradise, but we're gonna see Kai start off with the Cabal Therapy. We're naming Aluren straight off. It does resolve, and we see two Force of Wills. This leaves Greg with not much going on.
Yes.
We could flashback this Cabal Therapy right here, right now, and leave Greg with nothing.
Right.
Um,
Interesting. He's letting that go.
well, I mean, we have the opportunity now to cash it in when we need to.
Right.
Because now if we want to cast spells with these birds, we get to go next turn on tap, tap for mana,
And then
sacrifice, and
you can
cast our
fire it
spells.
off. And also, yeah, at this point now it's like he's missed. I guess we'll find out. Let's see what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. If he's missed land drops, that could be an issue. But also, you'll get to see more cards. Ostensibly, if you
Hmm.
activate this later. And if we're not casting spells, there's no rush, I suppose. So long as Graham is under 5 mana. If we get to the point where we can hardcast this force, then it's not as great. So, well, Kai's going to decide to cash this in now. Graham's going to
Yeah.
go ahead and discard those two. And no additional cards to reveal. And we're going to see if Kai uses the mana he floated. And we're going to see a shapeshifter. Okay,
Shapeshifter.
so Kai is conceivably a land and like a couple cards away from winning. We may just make another angel. Or hey, this could be Phage. We could have Phage lying in here. Phage is definitely common in this deck. Ooh, what did we draw here? We drew a creature, we cast it.
I
Chat,
do
help
not know
us
what that
out because I don't
is.
recognize that one. I feel like it's something out of like Stronghold or Exodus maybe by the art.
I just can't make it out.
I
It appears to
know.
be one black mana is the mana cost, but I'm still not.
Oh, is this maybe like Maggot Carrier or something maybe? That was a card.
Mm,
Oh, we're gonna turn it into Hypnox. Swing 8. Alright, so Graham's gonna be on a very short clock here. Notably, this Birds of Paradise can block. No, Hypnox does trample. So, can't block profitably.
that was Maggot Carrier. That is Maggot Carrier.
All right. I do have an idea. So, Mega Carrier is part of the combo. I believe when
Yep.
it comes into play, people do lose a life, or at least when it leaves play. So, it is part of the combo. Greg ostensibly one card away from winning the game if we can find
Yep,
a Cabin
he
Harpy.
needs a Harpy in hand and an Aluren in play.
Sure, so we're 2 cards away. All right. Aluren's not in play. We have 1 turn, though. That is the problem. I believe does Hypnox have trample? Am I misremembering?
I'm pulling him up. Flying.
Flying. Why did I think it has trample? Chat, what card am I thinking of that has flying and trample and is black? Spirit of the Night, maybe? No, that's just hasty.
Abyssal Persecutor, which is definitely not in this format. uh,
Well, that is going to be very important. Lord of the Pit, that must be it. Yes.
yeah.
That is going to be very important. It's going to buy Greg an extra turn, which may give him the chance to just draw like a madman, which did not happen.
It's over. He did
It is over.
Dreadnought, which gets in there.
Yep, nope, that was enough. All right, well, Kai is going to squeeze us out 2 games to 0 the hard way by just not casting Survival and just using Shapeshifter. Away.
Hell of a card. That's pretty good just by itself. If your deck's full of random guys, like, you know.
Yeah. That was so. That was the battle of the combos. Games do go a little bit quicker that way. But that was really cool. So we did see Hypnox fly in and then suddenly become a 12-12, which was devastating and good enough there to end the game there. That's not exactly how I think each player thought the game was going to go. I know game 1,
right.
Greg kind of had some interaction, but couldn't quite get his combo pieces online, and Kai snuck out, and then Kai was just able to take advantage of Greg's weak hand and just jam the combo.
I do just like really like the fact that Full English Breakfast has that like easy access to a plan B just by using cards that it's already playing.
Right.
And it seems to just come together like just really tightly and nicely, and like you can just like, you know, be very fast, fair or fair-ish, I guess. Like
Sure.
just making a guy that, you know, does a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's nice that Vesuvian Shapeshifter does have the ability to act as its own combo without having to have the survival in play. We assume Kai had it in there, did not get to see it, but you know, that's going to do it for tonight. 2 great matches. Love to see our players join us. Thank you guys, chat, for spending your night with us. Tune in next week. We're going to have another round, round 4 of our middle school league. We'll have 2 more players, 2 more people in the booth. Yeah, it'll be great.
This is definitely fun. Yeah, thanks for joining us. I will echo. Yeah. See you guys here soon again.
Cool. All right, guys. Take it easy and have a great rest of your night.